Good morning, everyone. Today I'd like to just talk about the Trinity. The Trinity is a concept that is really challenging to try to get our heads around. How can God the Father be somewhere and then send Jesus, his Son, who is actually still God, and he's here and he prays to God, who is really him, and then Jesus leaves the Holy Spirit, which is sort of his presence and the Father's presence all together in one. It's mind-blowing, it's confusing, and there have been many people that have tried to describe how that works. There have been descriptions, for instance, saying it's like an egg. You know, the egg is made up of three parts. You have the yolk at the very center, you've got the whites of the egg, and then you have the shell. And together it's an egg. But if you break all three parts, it's just parts of the egg, but the whole thing is just the egg. It's an okay description, I suppose, but it's a little bit lacking because you can separate these things out. Now, other people have said it's like H2O, the chemical signature for water. Well, H2O comes in a variety of forms. It can be frozen, it can be liquid, or it can be steam. So it can be three things, but it's all just H2O in various forms. I think that probably addresses it a little bit closer as to how to understand the Holy Spirit, the Father and the Son as the triune God. But I think it's still missing a few other things. What I've come to realize is probably the best way for me, at least, to understand the Trinity is through relationship, because the Trinity is in relationship with each other. They can't separate one out from being another because they are and remain the same being, the same person. And so I'll use myself as an example. I am a son, but I'm also a father, and I'm also a grandfather. That doesn't change who I am. But each of those segments have different relationships with the people that are around. As a son, I was in a different relationship with my parents than I am as a father in relationship to my kids. And as a grandfather, I have a different relationship with my grandkids as I do with my own children. Each segment is hugely important, and yet they're very different from each other because they're all relational. And at the very core of it, I'm not separating out myself and being, now today I'm a son, or rip this part off like the shell of an egg and say, that's the son part, and then the whites are the father part, and the yolk is the grandfather part. Actually, come to think of it, it probably should be the other way around. Regardless, I'm not ripping myself into pieces. I am always the same person, but I am experienced relationally in three very different ways. That's how I've come to sort of look at the whole aspect of the Trinity. I hope that that's an encouragement to you, and maybe it brings a little bit of better understanding as how there can be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit all existing at the same time and yet being very much separate. I hope you're enjoying also the series that we've been doing on the Holy Spirit. If you have questions, please feel free. I'm always available to chat, to talk, to dialogue with you in these areas. God bless you, church. Praying for you today.